All right, let's talk about something pretty incredible today. A piece of technology that's trying to prevent one of nature's most terrifying events, landslides. We're going to explore how we can finally actually start listening to what our mountains are telling us. I mean, just think about that for a second. A mountain is this massive, incredibly complex system. It's always moving, always shifting under forces we can't even see. And it definitely can't send us a text message when it's under too much stress. But what if we could find a way to listen in, to interpret those silent warnings that nature is giving us long before a catastrophe hits?
And this really gets to the heart of it. It's a massive shift in how we approach the problem. For so long, we've been stuck in the old way, right? Using static maps that go out of date with bits and pieces of data scattered everywhere. That means we can only react after a disaster. The new way? Well, it's about creating living, breathing digital models that bring all that data together so we can actually predict and maybe even prevent these things from happening at all.
So, to really get why this leap forward is so important, let's first dig into the problem itself. We need to understand why a new approach isn't just a cool idea, it's something we desperately need and fast. A lot of this research is focused on South Korea, and for good reason. About 70% of the country is mountainous, which makes it super vulnerable to landslides. And here's the thing, this problem is getting worse. Climate change is bringing more intense rainfall, which is basically cranking up the risk factor every single year. The old ways of managing these hazards just can't keep up.
So let's break down why the old methods are failing. The number one problem is something called data fragmentation. Just imagine, you've got crucial geological data in one government office, real-time sensor readings in another, and infrastructure plans somewhere else entirely. None of these systems talk to each other. They're in their own little silos. This leads to static maps that are basically snapshots in time, almost useless the moment they're printed. And the result? A system that can only react, offering almost no warning before disaster strikes.
Okay, so if the problem is a fragmented, static system, the solution has got to be unified and dynamic, right? And that brings us to the core concept here, building what's called a digital twin.
Now, this is the key. A digital twin is not just a fancy 3D model. It's a living, virtual copy of a real-world thing, in this case, a whole mountain slope. It's constantly being fed real-time data from sensors and scans. This allows it to do more than just mirror the mountain. It lets it simulate the future, predict behavior, and respond to the tiniest changes.
And you can really see the evolution right here. We started with flat 2D maps, a simple snapshot. Then we got 3D models, which were cool, gave us a sense of space, but we're still frozen. The huge leap to a digital twin is adding that fourth dimension, time. It's a 4D model that learns and evolves right along with its real-life physical counterpart.
So, a 4D living model sounds like something out of science fiction. But what's actually under the hood? What makes it tick? Let's get into the smart ingredients, which really boil down to two main things: a ton of data and some very powerful AI. First things first, you have to solve that data fragmentation problem we talked about. Before you can do anything smart, you have to get all your information in one place. The goal is to build a single foundation where all those different kinds of data can finally live together and, actually talk to each other.
And the way they do this is with something called GeoBIM. Now, you might have heard of BIM, Building Information Modeling. It's used to create digital models of things like skyscrapers. Well, this basically adapts that same idea for the messy, complicated world of nature. Think of GeoBIM as a universal translator. It pulls in everything: geological surveys, 3D drone scans, IoT sensor data, climate records, you name it. It puts it all on one platform, and suddenly those data silos are gone.
Okay, so having all that unified data is a huge step, but it creates a new challenge, right? How on earth does anyone make sense of that much information? That's where the second ingredient comes in, an intelligent brain to actually do the analysis.
No, seriously, think about it. How can one person, or even a whole team of brilliant engineers, possibly track millions of data points from sensors and climate models and geological charts all at the same time and spot a tiny problem before it's too late?
The answer is they don't have to do it alone. This system has an AI-powered assistant built right into its core. It acts as an intelligent partner that's designed specifically to process and make sense of this constant flood of information. And I love this quote because it's the perfect way to picture it. It really is like a Siri for engineers. They can just ask it complex questions in plain English. But, and this is so important, it's not a black box. The AI is designed to show its work, to explain how it got to an answer.
And that's absolutely critical for building trust in the system.
And just look at what this assistant can do. An engineer could ask, hey, what's the landslide risk on this specific slope if we get 4 inches of rain in the next 24 hours? The AI runs the what-if scenario, and because of something called explainable AI, it'll show exactly which data points, like soil moisture or historical shifts, led to its prediction. It can even whip up automated reports, saving countless hours and getting critical info to the people who need it faster.
All right, so we've got the unified data foundation, and we've got the AI brain. Now let's put it all together and see what this looks like in the real world, how we get from raw data all the way to a life-saving decision.
Here's how it all plays out. First, it starts in the field. Drones and laser scanners fly over the slope and create this incredibly detailed 3D digital blueprint. Then that model gets loaded into the GeoTwin, and the AI brain gets to work. It's constantly pulling in real-time sensor data, ground movement, water levels, looking for any tiny red flags. If it spots a serious risk, the system runs what's called a run-out simulation, which is basically a forecast that predicts exactly where a landslide would go. And finally, all of that gets visualized back in the GeoTwin so engineers can design and digitally test things like protective barriers to see what works best, all before a single shovel ever hits the ground. It's a complete, proactive safety cycle.
So when you step back and look at the whole picture, it becomes pretty obvious that this isn't just a small improvement on the old way. This technology is a complete game changer, pointing us toward a much more proactive future. And this right here, this is the whole mission. It's about fundamentally transforming how we manage these hazards, moving away from the old cycle of reacting to disasters and cleaning up the mess, and moving toward a predictive, intelligent system that helps us get ahead of them.
And make no mistake, this work is genuinely pioneering. It's the first system of its kind for slope management in Korea. It takes mind-bogglingly complex data and makes it accessible through simple conversation. It builds trust with explainable AI, and it finally solves those core problems of fragmented data and static, outdated models. This is really setting a new standard for the world.
And that might be the most important takeaway of all. Yeah, this project is focused on the mountains of South Korea, but the technology and the ideas behind it, the GeoBIM framework, the AI assistant, the whole digital twin concept, this is a blueprint. It's a model that can be adapted and used to build safer, more resilient communities anywhere in the world.
It leaves you with a pretty powerful thought, doesn't it? For all of human history, we've looked at mountains as these silent, unpredictable forces of nature. But now, it turns out we're learning how to speak their language. And it just makes you wonder, if we can finally listen to our mountains, what other silent warnings is our planet sending us? And what other threats could this kind of technology finally help us hear?